Hello everyone and welcome back to my opinion. And the Mumbai Indians have secured a resounding victory over the Lucknow Super Giants by 81 runs and have booked their place in Qualifier 2 to face the Gujarat Titans on the 26th. As I did in my previous video, I'll start things off by cross-referencing the 11s of both teams with the 11s that I suggested in my previous video, and starting things off with LSG. I thought they'd go in one of two ways, either playing Naveen ul-Haq or Kyle Mayers and adjusting their 11 accordingly. They went with Naveen ul-Haq, which I thought was a good decision, the correct decision out of those two. And before I give my views on the call that I didn't understand at all, I'll give my views on what I expected them to do. I thought Yash Thakur would play a part in this game, and if the team did bat first and they didn't do so since they lost the toss, then I thought he could have been an impact sub in the second innings. I would have started Amit Mishra, but they didn't in this game. They included him as an impact sub, but with how the team was structured, it was fairly obvious as to who was going to be the impact sub that was used. Deepak Hooda, I'm not surprised he did play alongside Ayush Badoni, also looking at the composition of the 11 as well. And like I said in my previous video, when you've got current India players who are playing in some format, and he is playing for the T20 side, then even if they don't do well, then I don't think you can drop them, and you're not too spoiled for choice either looking at this squad. Now on the core that I didn't understand at all, I thought they would play Amit Mishra in the 11, and they played Krishnappa Gautam today, and I'll get onto why I think they could have played Amit Mishra in a bit. But the one core I didn't understand at all was them not even including Quinton de Kock in the starting 11 or as an impact substitute. I was first confused when I saw the 11 simply because I just couldn't imagine them dropping Quinton de Kock in this situation, and they bafflingly did so. And the moment I saw that, I thought they were just giving an opportunity for themselves to be for them to shoot themselves in the foot there. I thought they already had done so by not playing Quinton de Kock in this game, and they did suffer the consequences. As for the Mumbai Indians, in my 11, I thought they could go with 3 overseas players to start off with, and included Duart Brevis as an impact sub in the batting innings, or they could even have gone with 4 overseas players with Duart Brevis also in the bowling innings to give a few overs of wrist spin if needed. And I think in the end they went with a similar 11 to what they have done in the last few games. A couple of changes. Tilak Bumrah playing ahead of Nehal Badera since he was back to full fitness for this game. And Hrithik Shokeen, in my view, I thought they could play Kumar Kartikeya, but Hrithik Shokeen was playing as a starter in this game. And since MI did bat first, I think the plan would have been to include Kumar Kartikeya in the second innings. And we saw why that couldn't be the case because of events that transpired. I didn't think they needed to play Chris Jordan, like I said in my previous videos, given runs whenever he's bowled in the IPL, and I didn't think playing him as an extra overseas seamer would really bolster the bowling. I thought there was a free slot for someone else, but they did play him in the end. And Rohit Sharma won the toss and chose to bat first. Now, considering the Mumbai Indians have won a lot of their games chasing, and even in the game against LSG at the Ekana Stadium, they did choose to bowl first, I think. So having said that, it was actually, I thought, a pleasant surprise. Well, more than a surprise, I did have a thought in the back of my head that maybe they could choose to bat first on this occasion. But the fact that they actually did that, I think it was quite a good decision. It was a correct decision, and that set them off in good stead in the rest of the game. The Mumbai Indians openers walked out to bat, and they got a standard 30 for the first wicket in 3 overs or so. And while they did a good job in getting to that point, I thought they were allowed to get off to that start because I didn't understand the bowling options in the first 3 overs of the game. Krunal Pandya bowled the first and third overs with Krishnappa Gautam bowling the second. I thought they could have introduced an over or two of pace within those 3 overs, and when Naveen ul-Haq was introduced in the 4th over, he got the wicket of Rohit Sharma. So I thought LSG let them get off to that start, and the reason why I didn't think Krishnappa Gautam playing this game would yield much benefit is because if you see how they've used him in this season, they've subbed him in later on in the batting innings at times to get a 6 or 4 off 1 or 2 balls, and then bowl him in the second innings. And with his bowling, is he going to win you a game like Amit Mishra would? No, he wouldn't. He doesn't turn the ball much, and while he's been economical at times, I just don't think he adds to the potency of the potency of this attack, especially with the other two spinners in Ravi Vishnu and Krunal Pandya. And with the bat, with the few balls that he faces, are the runs that he scores going to be a determining factor in helping you win a game? No, it won't. So I just think that there isn't really too much point in playing him, especially when you do bowl him at times. You bowl him in a situation where he didn't need to bowl that over, and I thought he shouldn't have bowled the second over. And Krunal Pandya bowling overs 1 and 3, they let Mumbai get off to that start. And that's why I thought Amit Mishra should have started in today's game, but he didn't. And luckily for LSG, they got 2 wickets in quick time, removing both the openers, Yash Thakur removing Ishan Kishan. And in 2 seasons now where Avesh Khan hasn't been at his economical best like he was when he was playing for the Delhi Capitals, then I think Yash Thakur really has stepped up during Avesh Khan's slump in form, and he's been good by taking wickets as well. And also, there's been something about him when he bowls. I think with the deliveries that he's bowled, he's been a tough player to get away. And 3 for 34 in 4 overs for him today. I thought he bowled well. And Naveen Ul-Haq dismissing Rohit Sharma towards the start of the 3rd over. A partnership ensued between Cameron Green and Suryakumar Yadav. And in this partnership, maybe it was because Krunal Pandya went for runs in the first 2 overs where he shouldn't have bowled those overs. I don't know why they didn't introduce Krunal Pandya to Suryakumar Yadav. We know that he's been dismissed against the left-arm off-spinner when trying to cut the ball. He's been bowled. I thought they could have tried out that option and they didn't. And Cameron Green especially, I thought after those 2 wickets fell, he continued the momentum with his 41 off 23. And when that partnership was going, MI were really well placed. I think we've seen thus far in, I think, these last few games that have been played in Chennai, where in the first 10 overs, that is your time to really get those runs and set the team up to get a good total by the end, considering the last 10 overs would be a struggle. And I think we saw in the CSK innings, 85 without loss after the first 10 overs, and then 87 for 7, I think, in the last 10. They would know there'd be a struggle, a scramble in the last 10, but they would have got the foundation to get to a good score by the end. And Mumbai Indians, I don't know what they were by the 10 over mark, but this partnership was certainly setting them off to get a good total in this innings. But like I said, I thought them not bowling Krunal Pandya to Suryakumar, they probably missed a trick there in LSG. Naveen Ul-Haq struck twice in 3 balls, dismissing Suryakumar Yadav and Cameron Green, especially with the second delivery, a slow delivery that was tailing in, and we've seen him bowl that kind of delivery quite a few times. And I thought that was vital because you're looking at this MI batting side, and unless they used the impact sub in that innings, which they did, then they didn't really have too much batting depth in this innings. So I thought that those 2 wickets then was vital. MI got what they needed to get in the first 12 overs or so, and it was just about game management helping them get to a good score by the end of the 20 overs. Tilak Verma and Tim David batted for a while, and I think there wasn't a boundary for 20 balls after Tilak Verma hit a 6 off Ravi Vishnu in the 4th delivery that he faced. But they found themselves at 141 for 4 on 16 overs. I wasn't surprised Tim David, until we hit that 4, took kind of a while to settle in, because I think he's a kind of player that is a pure finisher. I think in this kind of a case where, one, of course, you'd have to manage the game considering the characteristics of the ground. And 2, if the Pacers did bowl to him at the end, he's a kind of player that really thrives in that situation. And unfortunately for MI, Tim David being dismissed off Yash Thakur, a full toss, which wasn't a no ball. And in the end, I think they lost their 5th wicket. And it therefore forced their hand, because they probably would have included a Kumar Kartikeya in the second innings as an extra spinner. But they had to get Nehal Wadera in this case to get them to that 180 odd score. And with Tilak Verma being dismissed off the bowling of Naveen Ul-Haq, I think when the score was on 159, it was pretty much all on Nehal Wadera to get them to that total. And they did exactly that, 23 of 12, a vital cameo. And in Tilak Verma's absence, he really has stepped up in the last few games and has really been the reason why his side have pulled off some great wins in the chase and even scored a 60-odd against CSK when batting first at this ground. So he's been in great form and a vital cameo for him, getting his side to 180, I think, 3 for 8, which was 182 for 8, which was a very good total on this ground. Even though MI's bowling, you thought there may be a question mark since they don't have Kumar Kartikeya in the second innings, and Chris Jordan in the IPL, like I said, has given runs whenever he has bowled. I thought it was just going to be a gamble that they had to take, and so yeah, they got the runs to play with, but the question would be, would it be enough considering their bowling attack? Regarding the LSG bowlers, I thought Krunal Pandya went for above 9 and over overall because he bowled the initial 2 overs at the wrong time and that kind of set things off. Krishnappa Gautam only bowling 1 over for 8 runs. Like I said, Amit Mishra could have played instead of him. Naveen ul Haq 4 for 38 and 4 was expensive but took vital breakthroughs. And Yash Thakur 3 for 34 in his 4. Like I've said, in 2 seasons now where Avesh Khan has been nowhere near as good as to how he was for the Delhi Capitals, Yash Thakur really has stepped up and I think he should be one of the starting seamers like he was in today's game. 3 for 34 in his 3, and yeah, I think he will be a bowler, a vital bowler for LSG in the seasons to come. Mohsin Khan, I thought, came back well after his initial overs. I remember Cameron Green hit a 6 over mid-wicket, and at that point in time, things weren't going too great for Mohsin Khan. But just like in the previous encounter where these two teams faced off, the last over bowled by Mohsin Khan, once again, I thought both things back. A match-winning over in the previous encounter, and I thought also in this game he did quite well to bring his figures back to 1 for 24 and 3. And Ravi Bishnoi, when the partnership between Suryakumar Yadav and Cameron Green was going, and Suryakumar Yadav did hit a few boundaries off Bishnoi as well, a few through the offside as well, it was a case where he's actually really hung in there to keep his figures, a very good set of figures, none for 30 in his 4, where the overall score has been 182 for 8, and he bowled at a difficult time when the foundation setting partnership was going on. So I think he really has had a good season this time and a very good effort in today's game, especially when bowling in the partnership, while the partnership was brewing, that really set the innings up for Mumbai Indians. So that was on. And now on the LSG innings, a calamitous innings you could say. As I'd said at the start of the video, I thought it made no sense that they didn't play Quinton de Kock for this game. In the post-match interview, Krunal Pandya said that it was a tough decision choosing between Kyle Mayes and Quinton de Kock, but they assessed their records on this ground in making their conclusion. I'm intrigued to know what those records suggested in terms of them making this conclusion, because most people would have picked Quinton de Kock over Kyle Mayes for this game, and rightly so, especially with the absence of KL Rahul due to injury. If you want someone to be the backbone of this kind of a chase on a tough surface to bat on, there is no better player in this roster than Quinton de Kock to perform that role. So I didn't understand them not playing him at all. And okay, you've made that mistake. You've got a partnership of 21 with the opening wicket between Kyle Mayes and Prerak Mankar, and the latter is dismissed. Who do you send out? They send out Krunal Pandya. When I saw him walking out to bat live, I just thought, what are they doing? I mean, you've got a case where in the first innings of this game and in the previous game as well, the first 10 overs batting at this venue, that is the time to get as many runs as possible in terms of setting a platform, as the second 10 you know is going to be a scramble. CSK yesterday got 85 without loss in the first 10, then scored 87 for 7 in the last 10. But what they got in the first 10 allowed that scramble to make sure they could get to a decent score, quite a good score. In this game, MI got some good runs in the first 12 overs, 109 in the first 12 overs, and they got to 180 in the end and defended that score. When you know that you'd have to get some good runs in the first 10 overs to allow the scramble to not inhibit the score or limit the score you're going to get, rather, There is no sense in sending out Krunal Pandya. The times he's walked out to bat before, I thought, how long do you want him to bat? Not too long. And I know this may sound harsh, but the tempo of his batting has completely gone downhill in the last couple of seasons, especially. And in this season, batting him at 3 or 4, it makes absolutely no sense. When he bats for even 20 deliveries of Krunal Pandya batting in an innings, and you think, right, how many more runs could we have got if we'd got someone like a Nicholas Puran to bat at 3 or 4 with the full means in? So it makes no sense whenever they send him out to bat, and today it didn't make any sense either. 8 off 11 balls. There was so much pressure on Marcus Stoinis with Kyle Mayers being dismissed as well. At one point, LSG was 69 for 3, with Krunal Pandya scoring 8 off 11, Prerak Mankad with 3 off 6, and then Ayush Baldoni being dismissed when the score was on 74 for 1 off 7. Add that with also the fact that Kyle Mayers has been dismissed. There's so much pressure on Marcus Stoinis and an incoming Nicholas Puran, who was dismissed for a golden duck. And it's the case where against LSG, you saw scoring above 90 odd runs in the last 10 at this venue, no matter how much of a power hitter you are, is a very difficult thing. Even David Miller couldn't do anything in the previous game, and you've got a case where LSG had to chase above 100 runs in the last 10 purely on the back of Marcus Stoinis and Deepak Hooda on this kind of a surface, and that would not be possible. Deepak Hooda hasn't been in great form this season, but he's a very good player of spin, and I thought he does have the capability to get this kind of to pull off this kind of a heist, especially with Marcus Stoinis batting at the other end. But it was solely on those two if LSG were to win the game, and you kind of thought the game was already lost by that point in time, especially with where the scoreboard was at. Some not great run-outs, 3 all in all, I think, in this innings, and especially with a run-out of Marcus Stoinis. If the game wasn't over already, then that pretty much was the sealing deal, the sealing of the deal, rather. And yesterday we saw a case where a side that is way better tactically than LSG, but nowhere near perfect, they tried to be too smart and paid the price. LSG, like I just said now, haven't been a great tactical side at all in the 2 seasons they've been part of the IPL. They had a good auction in the mega auction, not such a great one this time around, and I'm surprised they have qualified. Even in the last year's eliminator, tactical blunders meant that they couldn't get over the line. And in this year, a terrible loss. There was no game management whatsoever from who bowled the first 3 overs of their bowling innings to the batting lineup. The fact that Krunal Pandya wasn't bowled enough to Suryakumar Yadav, and the fact that he bowled at the wrong time meant that that's probably what created the apprehension in the captain's mind in terms of not bowling himself later on when he should have bowled him. And this really was a terrible loss from LSG. And once again, I'm saying Krishnappa Gautam walks out to bat, and I know, okay, they lost a lot of wickets, but even otherwise, would his runs be a determining factor in helping LSG win the game? No, it wouldn't. And he only bowled 1 over in this game, that too at the wrong time. So it made no sense to play him whatsoever. So when you've got a side like this that's making these mistakes over and over again, it's a surprise they even qualified for the playoffs. Not only LSG, but DSG as well. Like I've said, with them playing Jason Holder at number 7, it just didn't make any sense. You've got both these sides that after a while, they'll be able to maybe get to the top 4. And in this case, for DSG, they couldn't even get to the top 4 even in their inaugural season. You're not going to get too far in trying to get your hands on the trophy if you make these blunders all the time. So that is on that. I don't know what they're going to do in the next few seasons if they keep on. For example, you got KL Rahul early on with his captaincy, didn't do a great job. Krunal Pandya's done a better job, but as you can see, the mistakes have still been made. So I don't know what they're going to do. I wish them luck, but yeah, that is on that. Once again, look, if you get to the playoffs in an IPL season, you've done a good job. It's a tough thing to do, but it's only going to really end here in terms of the progress they're going to make if they continue on in this way. So that's on this game. Who would have thought the Mumbai Indians would have got to this position based on how their squad looked before the season started? After the first few games, their batting has been firing, and they found some gems with the bowls such as Akash Medwal, who stood up in a bowling attack that, apart from maybe him, Piyush Chawla, and a Jason Berndorf that's had a better season than what I thought he would have. I think those three have stood up with a bowl, but it's in an attack that's generally not been convincing. And with the batting, the way that it's been going, and those three with the ball, that's what's got them here. So really well done to them. I think they'll struggle against GT in this game, this upcoming game. I don't think GT will bottle it for a second time, especially playing in Ahmedabad, but let's see how that game goes. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Please share it with your friends. Remember, this is my opinion. What's yours?